My name is Thomas Lester. Today I'll be presenting an informative speech on the career of being a commercial pilot. Many jobs have their own notorieties, whether it's their high pay, their long hours, their large amounts of travel, or their difficulty in work. This one combines all four of those, while also being one of the most notorious careers for making a lot of money. Today I will first cover what a commercial pilot is at its core and its roots. Then I'm going to cover what it takes to become a commercial pilot, and then I'm going to go over an interview I had with a real commercial pilot captain at American Airlines, Tim Farrell. Flights make almost 50% of cross-continental travel for people. At any given time, you can find 9,700 flights in the air. All those flights will contain from 300 to 500 people. That's a lot of people. The pilot's job is to operate your flight. They're the ones who manage the equipment, make sure the plane is flying steady. They ensure your flight is well and directed according to directions on where you're going, and they make sure that in case of emergency, everything will be all right. Now that I've covered what a pilot is, I'm going to circle back to what it takes to actually become a commercial pilot. According to airlinecareer.com, it takes at least a bachelor's degree in aerospace science to apply for your commercial pilot's license. You have to combine that with a private pilot's license, which you get within a year of training and flight hours based on where you get your license from. You combine that to go to flight school to get your actual commercial pilot's license. Once you've completed a few months of flight school, you then have to get 1,500 hours of flight simulator and real flight time before you can apply to get your actual license. Once you've done that, boom, you're a real commercial pilot. You can go work at Delta, American Airlines, wherever you want to make your career. Although there are some people who simply get the commercial pilot's license just because. They just are wealthy enough to afford that and feel like it's fun. And that's also a way you can go about it. Now that we know what it takes to become a commercial pilot, let's go over my interview with Captain Tim Farrell, and what his experience is becoming a pilot and what his experience has been after becoming a pilot. In my interview with Captain Tim Farrell, I learned a lot of interesting details that are not commonly known by the average person about piloting, what it takes to become a pilot, what actual piloting is like in the cockpit, and all these things I'm going to cover now. I asked Captain Tim Farrell, what was one of the hardest things to get over? And he said he had a fear of actually flying. When he would go up to his flight sims, it was fine, and then he would get real air time and he would freak out. And then I asked him what it took to get over that fear. And he told me that the only thing he could do was go through the endless amounts of hours that it took to actually get his license. And after going through and completing all of his hours, he eventually learned that as long as he focused on just the technical aspect of his flights, everything would be all right. I asked him what it was like flying now that he's gotten over his fear, and he told me it was, quote, just like going on a normal long car ride. I asked him if there are any details about becoming a pilot or actually being a pilot that most people might not know. And he told me that most of the time, the plane is actually on autopilot. The pilots are not actually piloting the plane as shown in movies and TV shows and etc. The autopilot has its programmed, predestined location where it calculates the direct course to, and the pilot's job is to, as stated earlier, manage the equipment, etc., etc. They also have to make sure the autopilot is correctly working by checking in, calculating where they are over the map, and going over their radar sequences. The pilot simply does all this while also managing the flight attendants, crew, and weather encounters such as turbulence, storms, etc. I asked him what his actual life was outside of piloting, and he told me that he lives a decent life, or a wealthy life, with decent pay of $113,000 a year before taxes, where he has a girlfriend and a dog back home. I asked him what it was like being away from them all the time with long hours and etc. And he told me it was sad, but his new love of flying after getting his license evened it out. So today I covered what a commercial pilot actually is, what it takes to become a commercial pilot, and secrets, the insider details about being a commercial pilot with a real captain at American Airlines, Tim Farrell. After going all of this, I learned some things, such as the autopilot. Pilots aren't actually piloting their plane all the time, they are simply redirecting and managing the plane. I learned that pilots can make up to $100K to $150,000 a year salary-wise, and I learned that piloting is a fairly simple but long and tedious thing to earn your license for. Commercial pilots are a huge part of our world, and there are plenty of things that many don't know about them. In conclusion, piloting and being a pilot is a very interesting and very useful career choice. If you're looking for something and you enjoy travel, high pay, and learning an interesting skill, career piloting just might be the career for you.